absolute present of Guru Shakyamuni Buddha, and all the past, present, future Buddhas as a Viraj or as a celestial beings. Then, due to the Buddha's wisdom and revealing that wisdom to us, make our life so meaningful. Give us limitless tools to develop limitless potential of ourselves, from this very ordinary person all the way up to, becoming just like him, the state of Buddhahood, achieving state of Buddhahood. They're very much possible, actualizing the the profound wisdom of emptiness and the altruistic attitude of bodhicitta, which very much Shakyamuni Buddha, not only this great teacher have revealed this teaching. In the world, for thousands of years, there's so many unbelievable teachers came into existence. But such a wisdom, like wisdom of emptiness, and attitude like bodhicitta, or the altruistic attitude, no one really revealed. No one really, be example to us in person that this attitude and this wisdom can be achieved by ordinary beings if they, cultivate them, if they develop them within their system, within their mind. So, and that wisdom and that attitude, the altruistic wisdom and the altruistic attitude, is the one that bring us complete eradications of entire limitations in us by eradicating the root cause of samsara, root cause of all the limitations. The root cause, which is the self-grasping, ignorant, and self-cherishing attitude. These two are the reason why there are numberless sentient beings, suffer pervasive compounded suffering within the cycle of life, because of these two main causes that which continue to control us, continue to make us perform all the necessary causes to suffer. In order to overcome, these two main causes of the samsara, you need the right antidote. All the other virtues, then emptiness and bodhicitta, even you gather entire virtue that exists in the entire universe and apply as an antidote to eradicate self-grasping, ignorant, and self-cherishing attitude, won't able to eradicate them at all. So you need the direct antidote carrying the full force of wisdom and attitude, and that is the bodhicitta and emptiness, and that revealed by Buddha. And Buddha himself is the evidence who utilized those wisdoms and attitude, and who he become today, Shakyamuni Buddha. The rest of the other Buddhas of the past and the present are also the proof that using the same wisdom, the same attitude, make them Buddhas. Even the future Buddhas, like the Bodhisattvas, to whom we admire so much, you know, and the attitude of bodhicitta, attitude of wisdom and emptiness, make them as a bodhisattva. Even in our ordinary, few years of journey in Buddha Dharma, that finding, true essence of true meaning of life, in our spiritual, in our spiritual journey.
Yes, the battery's gone. Sorry.
Sorry, Geshe, the battery's gone.
Okay, so I think I better chant the prayers. So maybe this is Buddha's blessing. Otherwise, I may keep talking. Yeah, so remember the Buddha's kindness, and remember Guru's kindness, and express gratitude by making sense of commitment that myself will follow the path.
Sorry, it's very, very sensitive.
Okay. Hello. Okay. So this is the sound of the dragons. Kangi dozene zone dawa tam je bambe chere dambe chene tuen ze bambo dam de la chan se lo toni ni je son do je ben la ma ze je ganje den de ge chana be mo tenzin ja zo na so wa de zo da ju jin je lo. Yeah, then we recite Guru Shakyamuni Buddha's name mantra a few rounds together. So the meaning I've already explained, I think on the first day or the second day. So basically when you recite the mantra, then whatever understanding that you have in Lamrim or Buddha Dharma, then try to have a glimpse meditation on that. Thank you. Yeah, so we are still on 8 verses of thought transformation. Uh, uh, so yesterday, we cover up to the 3rd verses. So today we will go through from the 4th. But just to recap what we have covered. On the first day, even the topic that given for me to talk is about, open-heartedness, in particularly the needs of open-heartedness, during difficult time. And in relation to this text, I spend very much commentary and sharing also stories about Captain Lama Zopa Rinpoche, very much in relation to the first verse. So the greatest level of open-heartedness, very much can be understood. The heart of bodhicitta, the heart of altruism. And until we actualize heart of bodhicitta, we can continue to train to train our heart to be more and more open, very much, and until entire sentient beings can able to relate to yourself as most dear one, and come to a point that you can completely dedicate, your entire existence solely in the service of sentient being, from very temporal, conditioning temporary happiness, all the way up to conditioning the ultimate happiness of enlightenment. So that's, I think, very much what the open-heartedness does. And day before yesterday's, the topic is, I think, very much about love, compassion, and kindness. The remaining verses from the verse 4 onward, very much the phases of, or the expressions of, love, compassion, and kindness towards all sentient beings. When we live, and accordingly with the practice that we're going to discuss, that's very much expressing, true love, unconditional, practice of kindness and compassion. Then today's, I think the topic, I think very much highlighted for purification practice, the purifying our limitations and purifying our negativities. Even though there are many forms of, purification practices, such as Vajrasattva purification practices, practice of four opponent power, which are commonly introduced as a tool for purification. But the real impact of purification take place in relation to Vajrasattva practice or four opponent power is the time that when your heart, get into transformation. When your heart start to, actualize, purifications of those delusions, those defilements, those obscurations. That's the real form of purification. And then the impact of that purification, individual can experience straight away. When you bring into even just application of antidote, even before the delusions are completely cleansed. Even starting the practice of applications of antidote, the individual practitioner already start to experience the certain degrees of liberation, freedom from those negativities. So the mind training, entire mind training practices or entire form of Dharma practices, it is the antidote, it is the tool to bring about purification. And ultimately, the transformation, has to take place. If we want to get the cessation, from the practice of purification, from the practice of applications of purification, and by negating the negations, the transformation has to actualize. So, such as those of the delusions, the ego, centered attitude, attachment, grasping, aversion, jealousy, etc. Emotions of depression, including like low self-esteem or egoic centered kind of pride. All this negative emotion has to be replaced by the virtues, Dharma virtues, in the form of either wisdom or in the form of either attitude. And those attitude and wisdom are the very much, whenever you equip them, you equip immeasurable kindness, immeasurable compassion, immeasurable love, immeasurable equanimities. When you equip those wisdoms, you equip immeasurable wisdoms. And when we express them, when you express those attitude and wisdom to anyone, either to yourself or any other living creatures, or even to the environment, you are expressing compassion, you're expressing love, you're expressing kindness. So so whenever we engage into any form of Dharma practices, in fact, we are engaging in the practice of purification, So when we get into training on the adverses of thought transformation, we in fact engaging in purification practice, so like that. as the so yeah, I cannot move. It's okay. Uh, so, uh, so yesterday, I just repeat the verse, the third verse. In all actions, may I closely examine my state of mind, and the moment a disturbing emotion or negative attitude arises, since this may cause harm to myself and others, may I firmly face and avert it. Hmm? Whenever delusions arises or any harmful emotion arises in us, then we need to use the tools of mindfulness in Dharma, mindfulness in Dharma teachings, to reasonalize to ourselves the harmful impact that one going to experience and one going to bring to the environment. With that reason, then always strengthen one's antidote to overcome those negativities, firmly, and avert the negative emotion right away, straight away, without delay even a moment, as we discussed yesterday. Even one moment, if we delay to purify them or avert them, the power of that action or the power of that karma increases. The power of that action will bring furthermore destructive actions. So the moment negative emotion arises in our thoughts, instantly, we accumulate the karma of the thought, karma of intention, karma of the negative, the imprint from the action that we commit through our thinking. You see, so not necessarily in order to accumulate negative karma, that action needed to be performed through our speech and body. Just thought arises, right there, you accumulate karma, you accumulate action, and the nature of the any form of karma has the power to increase. Yeah, it is capability to bring greater suffering, such as arising one moment, even a very, very light form of anger, very, very, very mild form of anger arises even for just one moment. And if you don't detect that anger straight away, and if you don't purify that attitude, by certain times, it become a fruitful cause even for us to experience, suffering in the lower realms, such as like in a hell realms like that, like hot hell realms. It's very much like that. Such as the intention of, intention to cause life of somebody, and act of causing life of someone. Even it can be just insect, one insect. About 15 days time, the power of the karma is very much like cause life of one human being. That much intense. Even though the act may be just causing life of one insect, but because of delaying in purification about 15 days, the power carries of that karma, the result we need to experience as similar to causing life of one human being. You see, so similar like that, all the actions of the attitude too, whatever negative emotion that that arises, if we don't purify straight away, then it can lead to huge consequences of suffering. Again, in the past sessions, I did mention the heaviest karmic consequences is in the hell realm. Within the hell realm also, there are so many stages of hell realm. You know, the worst one is called the Vajra hell, you see. So even the tiniest karma of body, speech, and mind, when we delay in purifying them, you know, it will develop into a huge power of that karma until that we may need to experience the consequences in the hell realm. But if we purify immediately, the effort is just so small, you know, for purification. We don't even need huge, you know, amount of time for the purification. You know, we don't need, you know, great antidotes like wisdom of emptiness. Even just reciting, you know, one time of Om Benza Sato Hum, that may able to purify, you know, that karma, such as the arising of anger, arising of attachment, or even, you know, happen to cause unintentionally, you know, cause life of like insects, etc. You know, just even with that one little effort, can able to purify that karma. See, you see. Otherwise, it's so powerful. It can become so powerful. So, so that's why from here you see how important to always watch out, you know, on our actions of body, speech, and mind. And whenever you detect any form of wrongdoings or any form of harmful actions that perform through your body, speech, and mind, and never to just, you know, undermine, or never to, how to say, undermine their harm. You know, how small it is that one need to purify them. There's a saying that the karma of the wise persons, even how great it is so small. The karma of the foolish, how small it is so great. You know, this is very much to be understood. The applications of the antidote, you know, how quick that you're able to apply the antidote. You know, from there, it very much defined as, you know, very minor karma or extensive karma. So the wise one very much meaning those who know the wisdom of, you know, antidotes, wisdom of dharma, wisdom of virtues, and always live in mindfulness. Even for them, even they commit, the action is very heavy, you know, huge, great, but then the swiftness of applications of the antidote bring about the consequences they're going to experience is very little, very tiny. But then unwise one, you know, who are not mindful, watching their body, speech, and mind, and not mindful in applicating the antidote to the negativities, and even the tiny, very tiny actions of, you know, negativities can become a huge experience of consequences, such as like in the lower realm, like that. You know, just one killing of one insect, you know, can lead oneself to experience, you know, suffering even in the Vajra, you know, hell realm, like that, you see. So, yeah. So, one of the way for us to, you know, live in full mindfulness of Dharma and of the antidote to negativities is invest our time, our life in three activities of learning the Dharma, contemplating on Dharma, meditation on Dharma. So that way, then, we will be always mindful in watching over our three doors, always mindful, equipping the Dharma, wisdom, and attitude, which are the antidotes. But then that doesn't mean, you cannot work, do your responsibilities. You can still be normal human being, doing normal responsibilities. Going for a job, taking care of family. There's nothing externally need to change. Externally, there's nothing bring inconvenience to you. The only thing that needed to add on to all the things that we normally do is the mindfulness in the wisdom of, mindfulness in the wisdom of learning, and mindfulness in the wisdom of contemplation, mindfulness in the wisdom of meditation. Then throughout the time, whenever you get free time, let's say it can be just 1 minute or 1 weekend off, then you dedicate, time, fully can go through rigorous studies or studies. Then dedicate time for contemplation, dedicate time for retreats and meditations. But the normal time, normal day-to-day life is very much being mindful in the wisdom of learning. You may have obtained opportunity to dedicate maybe 1 full day learning Dharma, all throughout the year. Even that much can be useful and can be beneficial, or even that much can be enough for you to be mindful in the wisdom of Dharma. Even 1 session, 1 wisdom, you see. And that is very much remembering that teaching and living in application, taking that teaching as a guide of your way of life in day-to-day life. So that's what I mean, be mindful in the wisdom of learning, you see. For that, you don't need to, you don't need to go and listen to the teaching. You don't need to take, time to read the text. Just always recalling the whatever amount of knowledge that you learn, and try to use that as a guide to the action that you are living in, any form of action, the normal actions that you are living in, you see. So for contemplation, when we require a very dedicated time to contemplate. So that's not easy to find such a favorable time, in our busy life. But then whatever wisdom that we gain from contemplation, that can be in few lines, and there can be few quotations, like such as, like wisdom of learning from Shantideva's teaching. If the situation can be solved, then what's the point of worrying? If the problem cannot be solved, then what's the benefit of worrying? So you really, we need time to read that. We really need to look for a text that can really state that verses, that statement, or you need to hear from somebody. You really need to have time for that. But after you have seen that, after you have studied that, now you really understood what it means, and and you know the quotation, you have memorized the quotation, or at least you have memorized the meaning in your heart. So now, whenever a situation, difficult situation comes in our way, being mindful in remembering that. Then, after you have learned about this line, you have contemplated on it. You really think deeply about it. You try to find all the reasons to prove to yourself, oh, this statement is really true. It's not just nice to say it, but it really makes sense. You're fully convinced, and that convincing the mind is very much the wisdom. Wisdom, from learning this verse, you see. So now, try to be mindful of that wisdom. Very much the conviction, very much the conviction and the trust and the faith that you have in this, the meaning of this verse. So now you be mindful of, recalling that conviction, reminding that conviction. So then in a difficult time, you just have faith and according with the wisdom that you actualize from this, this verse, you see. Then more than that, to meditate on it, you really need a dedicated time to really, paying full attention to the object of meditation. So that again, we weren't able to do while we are being busy. So we need dedicated time. But then after meditating on it, maybe even for 1 hour or maybe five minutes for some time, in the past, you really gain a deep sense of experiential, experiences in relation to nurturing your heart in relation to this, this teaching, you see. So now in our normal day-to-day life, just being mindful to relate to that experience, to relate to that realization that you have achieved, but the experience that you achieved through that meditation, you see. So so that can be done. Without finding conducive time, in whatever busy life that we're going through, our heart can be fully occupied by these three kind of wisdoms. Sometimes we may not able to use the meditative wisdom. Sometimes we may not able to use the contemplative wisdom, but then just having habitual about just reciting it. When something comes in your way, just recite it, and that already is so helpful. Somehow the impact will experience. You see, so like that. Then. Again, in the teachings of Shantideva and teachings of Nagarjuna, I mean, the Buddha's teaching, like, as long as sentient being remain, as long as sentient being remain, as long as the space remain, may I too remain to dispel the misery of sentient being. You see. So again, you can memorize them. You try to understand. You actualize wisdom in relation to these three actions. Then, whatever you do, good things comes in your way, difficult things comes in your way, you always remember you're like the wish fulfilling jewel to sentient being. You see, when you meet difficult people, your purpose is to dispel their suffering. When you meet wonderful, beneficial, happy people, your purpose is to also to benefit them. You see. Even they are Bodhisattva, you happen to meet a Bodhisattva, you are just one ordinary person, your purpose is to condition these Bodhisattvas to quickly, surpass their Bodhisattva path and actualize Buddhahood. You see, if you happen to meet billionaire, and you may be hundredaire or millionaire or whatever. You are still wish fulfilling. You can still be wish fulfilling jewel, like wish fulfilling jewel for this billionaire to actualize all the abundantness, and in most beneficial way. Well, like it's just an example. So you can be wish fulfilling jewel for temporal level as well as for ultimate benefit for any sentient being that comes in our way, just simply by being mindful in Dharma, and without needed for us to give up our responsibilities. Okay. So this is very much for us to have the capability to always, how to say, detect our limitations, swiftly, and applications of antidote swiftly, and able to, experience the benefit and the cessation, out of all those limitations like that. Okay, so now the verse 4. So whenever I meet people of unpleasant character or those overwhelmed by negativity, pain or suffering, may I cherish and care for them as if I had found a rare and precious treasure difficult to find. So I will read through the short explanation here. When we encounter unpleasant people or those overwhelmed by negativity, pain, or suffering, we often prefer to ignore or avoid them rather than cherish and care for them. We may consider ourselves to be more important or more evolved than such being, and we usually turn from them as we do not want to be bothered, hurt, or contaminated by their condition. This verse suggests reversing our usual self-cherishing attitude by learning to cherish and care for such people, being joyful and grateful as if we had found a rare and precious treasure. To overcome the delusion and egoism of our self-cherishing, we view these encounters as an opportunity to serve and bring happiness to others, rather than nuisance to be avoided. In this way, our self-cherishing mind diminish and our compassion deepen so as to embrace all living beings without exception. So when we meet people of unpleasant character, that can be, angry people, egoistic people, very negative-minded people, very selfish people, or always, causing harm to others, or always, having, always giving problem to you. Then we can also understand such unpleasant character, people of unpleasant character. Even their like physical, what you call who carry the characteristic of inconvenience like diseases, even contagious diseases. Yeah, so all form of suffering of pain like diseases, and people who are completely, overpowered by negative karmic consequences, delusions. So, and the diseases, all the, someone's going through the most painful, most harmful, experiences in life. So when we encounter this kind of people, if you are practitioner of compassion, if you are practitioners of altruism, if you wish to become bodhisattvas, if you wish to attain Buddhahood, if you admire like those amazing gurus and bodhisattvas, then ourselves have to train to cherish these people, and care for these people. The care and the cherishing them is so sincere, so wholehearted, sincere, wholehearted, and in dedication, as if you found the rarest, or most precious treasure that difficult to find. And these beings are, in fact, is truly a treasure for your practice, for your development. How much these people will receive benefit from you, how much you're able to deliver, how to say, material gift or protection, or really, be in the service, be in action, compassion in action, service. How great that you're able to deliver, we don't know, but at least even just by simply generating the heart, generating the genuine sense of compassion to this being, genuine sense of love to this being, yourself, naturally would be benefited, immensely. One of the most powerful way to help yourself is to cherish others, whether to do with our conventional success, then or spiritual success, especially for our spiritual success, such as realizations on the stages of the path, even to gain wisdom of learning, and encountering all the conducive conditions for spiritual development. By dedicating life in the service of these difficult people is one of the best way to accumulate meritorious causes for us to gain all those benefits that we wish to achieve in our life, both mundane as well as in the spiritual life. Some may sound, how possible, how by dedicating time and service to these difficult people, how it will generate benefit in our conventional world, in conventional life. The answer to that, whatever goodness that we experience in our life, like abundance, good health, long life, protection, security, is all are regarded, from Buddhist understanding, all are regarded as a result of merit. Result of merit. Then all the spiritual success also a result of merit. When we don't have enough merit, then whatever abundance that we may have, even up to today, if we don't have enough merit, or if we don't continue to accumulate more merit, then the result of the past accumulation merit will just matter of time going to exhaust, going to be finished. Then one experience poverty. There are people who have great material abundance that channel through their ancestors, channel through their parents. Then until certain time they enjoy, but then just because of one wrong decision, the entire their abundance just wipe away within like click of the computer button. Then there are so many abundance, rich people. Even though materially they have abundance, but then they always experience not enough material resources, always have limitations. So even they may have so much material abundance, but whenever they need, but they don't have the necessary, the material necessities, timely. There are some people I hear, they have huge money, but then they lock into certain kind of investment. And when they need, certain emergency, they have no money. And some people, they experience, they really as equal as the poorest person, have no money, and these are the result of not enough merit, or exhaustions of merits. Even there's a wealth, but then cannot be utilized, can't benefit you. Then there are people whole through lifetime, they earn so much, but they save, they really save until they can't, they don't even buy enough foods, etc. And especially they're very stingy. They don't share with others, not generous. And suddenly death comes in your way. That's it. All the wealth that you accumulate, no use. You see. And so that is very much, experience of life of very much like poverty. There are also people that after they are, they have a huge, amount of wealth, but then their what you call their children's, or it become a cause of their children's accumulations of negativities. You accumulate wealth whole life, and you save. You never make any charities. You never make any offerings to the triple gems. You also didn't really, spend for your meaningful activities like pilgrimage. Visiting very pure places, very meritorious places, and there are so many objects where you can share your wealth, and at the same time you accumulate so much merits. Never, you save. But then after you pass away, and the children's, they fight for the wealth. Can be very unethical, can be very, very, very intense negative environment in the family that created by that wealth. So much anger, so much sabotage, so much attachment, grasping to the wealth. So it's as if your whole life you accumulate, this wealth to accumulate more negative karma. They're also like that, you see. And there are certain, very rich people. After they pass away, even the family cannot enjoy those wealth, and there are many great wealth, goes for actualizing weapons. In the world, many rich people, they invest, their money for making weapons. You see. So you see, all these are the experience of exhaustions of merit, and or no new merits, not enough merits. So people go through like that. You see. So the point here is that we need merit. We need to have an immense of merits. And one of the most powerful tool to accumulate merit is serving sentient being. Relating to sentient being through the heart of compassion, through the heart of love, unconditional love, compassion, kindness, especially to difficult people, especially to, like as in the text, those who are with unpleasant characters, difficult people, generating, altruism to difficult people, suffering people. In most negative people in the world, there are so many troublemakers. For a practitioner, even for your own benefit, they are the central object for your compassion. There's so many distracted people, who really, and in our normal mind, these people should be side of our thoughts. We don't want to think about them. We rather want to, if we want to think about them, we want to hate them. This is how our normal mind, normal way of cultivation of our heart is. Any bad people, we must hate them. We must generate anger. We criticize them. We try to do all the negative ways to relate to them. But this is not the way how someone who is training in Bodhisattva's path, that is not the way. So someone who is aspiring for Buddhahood, that is not the way. Someone who really want to benefit yourself, that's not the way. Even to benefit yourself, no question about benefiting them, but even to help yourself, to really bring abundance in your life, happiness in your life, all are the result of merit. So you need to accumulate merit to bring so much abundance, so much happiness to yourself. And these bad people, negative people, harmful people are the object where you can generate the greatest merit by relating to them with heart of compassion, heart of kindness, like that, you see. So it's quite a huge differences, how our ordinary way of relating to these people and how the spiritual way, especially the Mahayanic, the Bodhisattva's way of relating to these people is huge different, you see. So, so you see, so therefore in the world, some create war, some, really bring so much diseases into the world, so much trouble to the world, trouble to the world, as practitioners, practitioners of compassion, practitioners of Mahayanic Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, they are the central object of our dedications of merit, central object of our care. One very obvious example to us, His Holiness Dalai Lama. People who really give him hard time, people who obstruct, for him to display Bodhisattva's conducts, give so much difficulty for him to benefit, larger, greater, community of the world, and for His Holiness, these people are the central object of his care, his dedications of his merit. So this is the Bodhisattva's way, even the more the people harm you, they become even more central object of your dedications of merit, because they need the most help. People who do wrong need the most help, and Bodhisattvas do help to the most needed one. So similar in for us beginners who are traveling on the same path. From very beginning we have to train like that. You see, so even in the family, the most difficult individual in the family, as a Mahayanic practitioner, as a practitioner of Tibetan Buddhism, which is the Mahayanic teaching. What Tibetan Buddhist practice is the teachings of the Bodhisattva's way of life, the teachings of the Bodhisattva's conduct. So we need to be different from all the other rest of the family. We care the most to the most difficult family member, the most. So it's hard, but so much benefit to you. So much benefit, especially in the form of merits. The actual engagement with the difficult people is hard, but the merit you earn, that gives abundance of resources to you now in our ordinary life. Then abundance resources for a spiritual growth. You see, it also brings immense of satisfaction. You will be amazed when you care for difficult people. After you have cared, the satisfaction that you experience is huge. And you start to feel that you're a very strong person. You're a very nice person. You did well. You kind of always congratulate yourself. At the end of the day, you see, there's a lot of fulfillment. You see, like that. Then also, when you care for difficult people, it by nature also it becomes unconditional care. So there's no stain of worldly concerns. It's very much your care is very genuine, like that kind of thing. You see, so so merit is needed. When you have merit, then even materially you may have less resources, but then you will have whatever is needed in timely. whenever you need something, you have it. It comes in your way. Even you may have little money that is enough, for whenever that you need them. You need. It's like you are never lacking of the resources. You see, so like that. Then even though that you may have a little money, but there's little expenses. You see, so little expenses. So even little money, it's almost like you have a billion dollar because there's no expenses. You see, when you have a lot of merit, you have less sickness, less expenses, less sickness, less pain. Even you will live long life, but long life with little expenses, unnecessary expenses or emergency expenses. And you always get to enjoy good food. Good food means the food that is good for your health, and also food that you enjoy it. Maybe you may have so much money, you eat all sort of food, maybe that is harmful for your health. Who knows? You see, so you see, so all these are the play of merit. Is a play of merit. Then your heart always enjoy the abundantness in the wisdom of contentment. You're contented. You always feel enough. So the contentment is in fact the real value of richness. You see, you will feel I have enough. You see, there's no any extra expectations and desire. You see, and so you enjoy the peace, abundance in the wisdom of contentment. You see, and all this are the result of merit. When you don't have merit, so difficult to express contentment. When you're lacking merit, you see, your heart always not enough. Whatever you do is not enough, not good enough. You see, when you don't have merit, even like you're in the most beautiful place in the world, Blue Mountain, you feel awful place. You feel not beautiful enough. You see, you're still looking for somewhere else to move. You're not contented. It's all a play of merit. Even though you may be staying in a very small hut, you feel like mansion. And not only just a mansion, but you feel like celestial mansion. Like deities, Buddha's mansion. You feel so comfortable, so peaceful and so enough. Like you feel spacious, even though it's just tiny hut, but you feel spacious. You see, you feel the freedom, comfortableness, etc. Result of merit. If we don't have enough merit, you live in a big house. You still feel not enough space to put things. You still feel, you feel like empty. You feel like, how to say, you can't settle there. You see. You don't feel the warmth like that. Welcome, you see. So all these are the play of merits. In our ordinary way, we think this maybe because of the house, or because of the land, because of the color, because of the shape, because of the maybe, how to say, the thickness of the mattress, or the color of the blanket, the cue cover. Maybe these are the one that is making you, something wrong, something not enough. We to make ourselves happy, we change our wallpaper. Then we change the pictures. I remember, I saw some family, they have so many collection of picture to put on the wall. And some family, they say, okay, seasonally, they want to change so that they can feel happy. Like also almost like can enjoy the different seasons in the year. And I also saw a family that weekly they need to change the wall picture because otherwise they feel unhappy at the house. So they want to bring happiness from the picture changing, but it's still unhappy every week after, the moment you put up the picture, you feel, okay, wow. But then soon after, 5-10 minutes after, same kind of angry, unhappy, not enough, and it's still like, day after day, search in the shops, go to, and they have a lot of money. They travel so far, pay so much money to look for a certain painting to make them happy. But there are so many, there's one family dedicated a huge room just for painting and hoping changing this painting will bring sustainable happiness. But I saw them not happening. When you put up the painting, yes, there's some excitement, but after put up 5-10 minutes, it doesn't even last for one hour happiness. Already goes back to the same kind of attitude, unhappy, like, but they never pay attention to the merit. You see, they don't pay attention to merit, accumulating merits. There's no compassion to people comes in your way. Even they have so much money, but they don't share with others. You see, and they don't make charities. You see, and yeah, you can see there's a lot of merit they accumulate in the past. They are put into a position. They have a lot of assets, but heart is empty, and the money is not bringing any happiness to them. You see, so these are the lacking of merit. You see, like that. You see, like our precious guru, like Kyabje Lama Sopa Rinpoche. For Rinpoche, he traveled whole life. Like there's no particular place that can say this is his home. People say, oh, this is Rinpoche's room, this is Rinpoche's house. But from Rinpoche's side, he really don't have anything. What he has, his possession is few suitcases of texts. Those texts that which contain the teachings or whatever teaching that we're talking. You see, carry all those teachings that Rinpoche has been sharing throughout his life to all of us and to many others. Those values, is contained in these teachings that what he's carrying. So that is his possession. And even comes to his robes, really there's one small corner in one of the suitcases, there's one set to change. That's it. It's very much like, he's living in the suitcase, you see. But then the compassion, the kindness, the generosity, unbelievable, every single day there's, so, I mean, non-stop. I shared the story before. There are many, I know hundreds of stories out there, there's non-stop making charity of virtue, Dharma. You see, his whole living, day to day, whole living, his body, his speech, and no question about his mind, is always in virtue and always in Dharma, isn't it? The moment you see him, you get inspired in virtue, in Dharma. Whenever he speaks, he only speaks Dharma. He only speaks about compassion. You see, he only speak about serve sentient being, numberless sentient being, numberless sentient, be in the service of numberless sentient being, like entire his life, non-stop speaking about that, making dharma charity, you see. And physically, he non-stop, without even a moment of rest, he's traveling around all around the world, be in the service of others, charity, physically, being in the service of others, everybody knows that, everybody saw that, isn't it? You see, then there are so many different kind of people, like some people, there are many, almost, in Nepal, in India, even in Tibet, there's so many monasteries, so many orphan homes, so many childcare centers, it was a children's home, orphanage homes. Very much, there's not even a one temple or one orphan home or orphanage home that Rinpoche have not made charity, Rinpoche have not made contribution. And in the past, we know he did extensive help with the help of all of the his mandala, his disciples. But after when he passed away, we realized there's so many people pop up say, I also received, my organization also received help from him. We are shocked. We didn't know. He'd been almost reaching out every single, those needy people. Basically, whoever approached him, no one is let down. Material and charity like that. You see. So from Rinpoche's side, there's no expectations for any respect to him, any his comfort, whatever. But then, because of the merit, you can see that the respect that Rinpoche, the people, the respect, the abundantness, like such as prayers, dedication. Can you imagine? I was thinking, if I die, I don't know whether there will be even one ant will come and make a prayer for me or not. Or maybe nobody knows that you are dead. You see, it has a danger, if you're not in a merit. But you can see, like Rinpoche, like the overflow or pouring of, merits and prayers, dedications, and together, all the people who linked to him was also received the dedications of those prayers, and benefits. You see, so all these are play of merit. And during Rinpoche's lifetime, he enjoyed the contentment. You see, very much like there's not one day he felt that I have not enough to give to others. Even though he is not about himself, but even for the charity, for the offerings, everything is infinite. When he make offerings to the Buddha, offerings to the Sangha is abundance, infinite. Then when he make charities to the living beings, also abundance, huge. But there's not even one single moment that he expressed or he felt that I have not enough. It's like, according with what you need, I have enough. And the moment that he make decision to make offering, that can be even in the material form, it could be millions, but it just comes in his way and fulfill those wishes like that, you see. So these are the play of merit, and he's one of the most relaxed person that you can ever encounter. One of the most relaxed. It's like a timeless. It's like there's no day and night, differences out there. It's every single day and night is every single day is every single sunny day is like that, it's like the clock is like stuck, like no more battery. Like clock is like always there, and it's stuck like that, as if that if he start his service to people, service to the living being at the 11:30, and that 11:30 from his side is like always 11:30, never really move even 1 minute ahead like that. It's like more subtle, more peaceful, more so relaxed. You will never feel there's any rush in anything. You see that much of peacefulness is due to merit. Is merit. It's all because of the merit that he earned, generating love, immeasurable love, kindness, and compassion to other sentient beings, and especially to those needy ones. Those needy ones. So like that. You see. So therefore, yeah. So it's yes. You see, all the actions that related the spirit, the dharma chores and dharma actions that we learn, like such as practice of 7 limb practices, 6 preparatory practices, like such as like even organizing altar, making altar beautiful. One of the 6 preparatory, making altar beautiful. Is a practice of accumulations of merit. Practice like actualizing holy objects is practice of accumulation of merits. Like in Kunsang Geshe Center, you have this beautiful yellow Tara, magnificent, unbelievable. You see, just looking at her, you accumulate merits. Their entire existence is dedicated to the sentient beings to accumulate merit. That's how these holy objects and holy beings condition us to enjoy happiness through the accumulations of merit. You see, then like recitations of like Tara mantra, doing prostrations through the Tara. You see, doing circumambulation. Yeah, I was very happy. Day before yesterday, I went to the center. There's you can go around the Tara statue. There's a circle, even though the place is small, but still there's a space to go around the Tara statue. And when we learn about the benefit of circumambulating such a holy object, the accumulations of merit is abundance, unbelievable. You see, then every single, even just to see the toe of the Tara statue, you see, the merit that you accumulate, like any Buddha, like here, Shakyamuni Buddha, just even you don't focus on whole image, but just even the hand or the eye or the leg or the lotus, even just that you accumulate unbelievable merits. You see, then there are so many all the Dharma practices like circumambulations, prostrations, etc. But among all, one of the most powerful tools to accumulate merit is expressing the blessings of the Buddha through your heart, which is the expressions of compassion, expressions of unconditional love, unconditional care, especially to the needy beings, suffering beings. What do you call it? Wicked people. Those who carry unpleasant characters. You see, the existence of the holy objects, existence of the Buddha, is to cause we sentient beings to actualize these hearts. So whenever we deliver these hearts, whenever we express these hearts, Buddhas are pleased. You see, gurus are pleased. When we talk about fulfilling guru's wishes, we do intensive practice, guru yoga practices. One of the most powerful practice to please guru's heart is our heart full of loving kindness, compassion, and especially to the needy beings. That's the most powerful way to fulfill guru's wishes. You see, so like that. Oh, as if one found a rare and precious treasure difficult to find. Precious treasure that will fulfill not only the temporary, all this benefit that I mentioned, will fulfill our ultimate wishes of enlightenment. You see, enlightenment. Even we are able to care for all the beautiful people, care for all the pleasant people, pleasant beings. But then if we miss out caring for the difficult people, then enlightenment won't be achieved. You see, even the most difficult person, you may think that I can generate compassion, I can care for 99% of the all living beings, but this one person, no way. I really need to excuse at least this one person. And that's the obstacle to enlightenment. That's the huge obstacle to actualize, a state of bodhisattvahood. The moment you're able to bring even that most difficult person as an object of your compassion and treasure them as if he or she is the most precious, like a most precious treasure that found, then your door to bodhisattvahood is open, your door to enlightenment is opened, you see. So it's a quite a tricky, and if we're able to really make sense to ourselves this practice, then it really become the real journey of enjoyment of life starts, you see. It is hard, but if we really want to enjoy our life, then the enjoyment starts from there. The moment your focus is, to really to care for difficult people, and at least start with your heart, so like that. What do you think about this practice? Very difficult. So how should we break that difficult shield that which make us to not to really able to practice this? What do you think?
Think of the benefits. Think of the benefits.
Yeah. But because we have to do that without how to say, without disturbing our emotion. As I mentioned before, we should start from our family, from those who encounter near to us. Among them, our focus should be the most difficult people among them. They may be not that so difficult, but still, can be quite difficult. But how to, how to sustain, I think everybody is trying to practice, but how to sustain. Yeah, we have to sustain through mindfulness, as mentioned before, isn't it? You want to say something?
People take the advantage of our kindness.
Yeah. So even they take advantage of your kindness, you still care for them. Yeah. You will detect that they are taking advantage of you. But really, if we're really serious about becoming Bodhisattva, really serious about training on this path, it's not just in a word, then even in that circumstances, we have to take care of them. Maybe physically, you can distant. The one of the way for the initial stage until we achieve the level of practice of generosity, the practice of 6 paramita. When you reach to a quite mature level of practice of generosity, then even when we know people taking advantage of you, you still do the charity or the generosity, understanding that practice of generosity is not about expecting any return. It's just about developing the heart of giving. As long as I am able to give, then even they waste your gift, you still achieve the purpose. So it's quite tricky, in our ordinary life, when we make charity, and from the charity that you made, people misuse it, then you stop making charity. And we would advise that you should stop giving, like even to giving to the beggar. If the beggar is a chain of syndicate, then if we know that, we shouldn't give. This our ordinary mind would say. But in the actual practice of the Bodhisattva, you just need to practice giving. You see, and there is a power, there's a blessing that will change their circumstances, even they are misusing it, but still it will help them in greater help than harm. You see, and most of all, yourself, there will be great, store of merit that you will accumulate, and your wisdom will be increased, and your benefit to that object of your benefit can more effectively be benefited in the future times, sooner times. So there's a bigger picture to look at it, for ultimate purpose. Even though there's some negative karma or the what do you call the like exploitation, if you give to certain the beggars which put on the street by syndicates, by giving material gift, that actually will contribute to do more wrong in one way, you see. But that is immediate level. But from the bigger picture, at this very moment, even you want to solve the ultimate problem of that why this syndicate came about, you have no ability to really to solve. But then when you have a higher merit, maybe the higher merit may able to result, you have a certain high level of authority to really able to make changes of the whole situation from the root, you see. And more than that, if you become a Buddha, you will have a omniscient heart to effectively to help these people, and according with their disposition. So through the practice of the sixth perfection, through the practice of the generosity that you are practicing solely giving, still there's a great benefit. Yeah. So, like, especially if you go to Nepal or India, you see, many young children, they will come and ask money from you. And if you give money, honestly speaking, you're kind of spoiling them, and they will continue to beg. They will not study. They will not, work. So outer set, conventional, ordinary view is like that. And we will say, better don't give. But as a practice of generosity from the Bodhisattva's path, that is the secondary. You have to practice the practice of giving with altruistic intention, and the benefit of the merit that you actualize and also the receiver get the benefit ultimately is huge. So for that sense, you still have to give. See, so like there's one story in Tibet, the Shakyamuni Buddha's temple, one of the most holy object in the world. So there's one regular benefactor that comes to deliver butter, to make a butter light offering to the statue. So then, but the butter never really, become a light offering. The butter actually, the keeper of the statue always used to make a butter tea for himself. So whenever the butter is delivered, and butter is for the benefactor is to make the light offering, butter light, to the statue. But the keeper, that delicious butter, he make butter tea. And one day there's one busybody who's going around, and he knows what's happening. So one day he stopped the benefactor, saying that you don't give butter. If you really want to make the light offering, you make the light offering by yourself and offer it. Don't pass the butter to the keeper, because he never offers light offering. And this benefactor told the busybody, saying that I've done my job. I received the merit of making butter light offering. As for the butter, whatever they use is none of my business. Then he continued to deliver the butter, and the keeper continued to enjoy the butter tea. The Shakyamuni Buddha statue never received any light offerings, but this guy, the benefactor, continued to accumulate vast merit of making a butter light offering without butter light. And because he's practicing the practice of generosity from the altruistic point of view, as and some way, somehow, through his engaging in this charity, the keeper receives so much benefit. Obviously, delicious butter tea. But then the action was infused by altruism. This receiver also receives so much merit, and the giver receives so much, huge merit. The equal of making the butter light offering. So there's a bigger picture way of thinking, when we deal with such practices. And if we are serious practitioner, and we have to choose the second one. But if we are not yet serious, then we may choose the first one, because that will give you inconvenience to your heart. So then you may need to train more, intentional level, motivational level first. When you are fully matured, in the practice of your intention or motivation, then you move to the practice of inaction, engaging in action. So that's why even the Bodhisattva precept, first you train in the aspiration of Bodhisattva practice. Then gradually then you train into engaging with self-precept, isn't it? So that works the same way like that. So therefore, so thinking of ultimate benefit, if you're able to, then you engage with difficult people, on that base, on that value. Then you will never get hurt. Even people are taking advantage of your kindness. You still feel you have delivered the practice. Then when you're dealing with difficult people, when they, instead of appreciating, they return with harm, you will not receive the harm. You will not feel waste of your help to the difficult people. You see, so like that. But then if you feel you're not ready, then yes, of course, we can stay away physically in a distance, but then your heart continue to engage with that difficult people, at least dedicating your merits, dedicating your, the good thoughts, and always expressing compassion to this person, at least in thoughts. And that will bring to maturity, there will be enough merit to ourselves, which is like enough strength that you're able to help them directly like that. Any other questions?
Yes, I work with special needs children, like preschool age, and I know many causes and conditions make distressed parents with the cost of living. So many behaviour issues these days. Like, see this room here full of people. Like once upon a time, there might have been 2 or 3 kids, and maybe some rooms, like a third of the kids have behaviour issues. So it's a bit sad. A lot of childcare workers are leaving in droves. Really talented, smart young women, So it's, from my perspective, I think it get burnt out and it will get overwhelmed. So I'm not sure whether to stay in the childcare industry or to leave. And the other thing is, like, I do my best to teach like yoga and mindfulness. So I think I do a good job, but the kids have trouble paying attention. And if I leave, I might feel like I feel like I should be there, but
Yeah, so maybe, like what the teaching that we discussed this morning may be beneficial to keep account in your motivation. Then, your heart still carry the strength and the strength of motivation, altruistic motivation to continue to care for them. Of course, if you really feel that you need to some time to take off to re-energize, and which is very beneficial. Always good to before completely burn out. Good to take break, which is we as an ordinary human being, we need that. But then not completely let go. Go back and help them. One of the job, especially for Dharma practitioner, helping, is such children's or like aging people, sick people. I think one of the best job that you can do as a Dharma practitioner. Even like us, really, if we get opportunity to, how to say, because most of like even like my life, we very much guided by our gurus what to do. So if guru, assign us to go and care for such children's, such in such children's homes, or care for some elderly people, sick people, doesn't matter whether it's to do with your own family member or not. you know, from my side, I would say that would be the happiest job that you'll be assigned, you'll be received, you know, I would regard that. Now just to like console yourself, you know, sometimes you feel you only blah, 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 blah. And it's almost like never really get chance to be in action, to really to care for elderly or sick, or you know, difficult, you know, like children who are going through, you know, difficult time, you know, then consoling ourselves, oh, you know, you are taking care of all the sick people, you know, samsaric sickness, you know, you're teaching Dharma. The samsara means suffering. Samsara means sickness. You know, the suffering or the sickness of pervasive compounded suffering, suffering of change, you know, like when we learn the teaching on Four Noble Truth, first, you know, to recognize the suffering, recognize, you know, oneself as a patient. Then, you know, then you relate to the qualified teacher, qualified doctor, which is like the Buddha, and the qualified, I would say the right medicine is like a Dharma. Even from the practice of refuge, you know, we very much relate like that. You know, Buddha as a qualified doctor, Dharma as a qualified, Dharma as a correct medicine, and Sangha as like a nurse. Very much like that. So they say, oh, maybe still delivering quite the similar job. So we just carry on our job, you know, teaching Dharma. Sometimes teaching Dharma also can be quite a challenging. But then we console like that. But then those of you who really directly able to you know, serve these needy children and you know, take care of sick and elderly parents, grandparents, or any sick people, any elderly people, you're able to care even for one time. I think that really highlight your journey in Mayani path. That really can highlight your training in Bodhisattva's conduct, and try to maintain, try to sustain that, you know, as long as possible, as much as possible. And time to time, like very much, because we as a human being, we may get tired, get burnt out, then to do some retreat, you know, to come into Dharma discourse, like this kind of teaching, you know, where emphasize about importance of such doings, and acknowledging those values, you know, like this morning, you know, talking about the value of compassion, value of kindness, care, the merit that we earn, you know, we need to be reminded again and again. So either through reading texts, or either, you know, through engaging in Dharma discourse, or either through meditation, you learn about those teachings, and you have to remind ourselves, you know, we have to be mindful about those teachings, and that way you re-energize, you know, help you to not to get burnout. You see, but anyway, like even like our gurus, like again, like Kyabsha Lama Soparinpoche, Lama Geshe, you know, Khenso Rinpoche, Lama Londo, like the late Geshe Lama Koncho, all these masters, they dedicate their entire life, you see, to take care of needy people, needy children. Like all of us, like often, you know, all of us like have no, you know, not necessarily mean that we have no parents. We have parents, but our parents have no resources to give us education, to, you know, even to feed us, you know, Yeah, most of the children's, most of the girls and boys, come to monastery. Like at least, I can speak for like Open Monastery, Open Nunnery, where I'm coming from. We are under the care of Lama Yeshe, Lama Suvarimoshe, Lama Lundup, Lama Koncho. These are the ones that who build home for us, who bring resources to feed us, who create an environment for us to be educated, like who I am today because of these teachers, that I can speak in front of you. I can be among you people. Everything, even my growing body is because of the nutrition that they feed us. The whatever knowledge that I have is they taught us. You see, all this value to be in the service, they groom us, and not just for 1 or 2 days, for whole life, and they will continue to take care of us, even their physical existence is not there, but the home that they created for us is our home for forever, like you see, and the job to do that is not easy. Job to do that is really, really challenging. Is like consistent every single day, and not just one children, hundreds of children. You see, and we make a lot of trouble to them. We become rebellious, ingratitude, and complain. We are very difficult children. We are very difficult children, but but they never give up. They really take care of us with this unconditional love, and great compassion, because they take care with equanimity to entire children, entire monks and nuns, equally. You see, and I also went through a little experience. Rinpoche and Khenso Rinpoche sought me a job to take care of one nunnery monastery. So there's one time, there's about 100 nuns and 10, 15 monks, and really, and not easy, tough time. But then, your heart filled with so much joy and inspirations, hard work, hard work with a joyous effort, so much joy. Like the job that somehow, because of the influence, the training that these gurus have given to you, when I put into action, never even one moment of time that you feel like burning out. But the challenge is sometimes like even causing your life. And the challenge that sometimes the people to whom you're benefiting, like kind of like come to challenge with you, it also happens like that, it's different people different children carry different karma, and different emotion, and you have to really care for them with so much gentleness, ethics, respect, understanding, forgiveness, acceptance, kindness, generosity. You see, there's some of the nuns are it's like 80, 90 years old. 80, I think oldest nun, I think now 85 or 90, I don't know, it's something like that. My relation to them, my relation to these older nuns and the monks, I see them like little child that born from my own womb, like that. I don't have womb, but it's like it's born from me, like that. It's like I relate to them like my own child. And for the little ones, it's easier, because they're so little. But the emotional relationship is like they are like my own child. because my gurus have take care of me like they regarded me like their own child. Their own child, and we do that on the value of the altruistic, value, altruistic value, and that never really, that is really the power, that give you carry on the job and with full of joy, full of dignity, full of happiness, and and also your commitment is forever, whether you directly engage or not, you are always taking care of them forever like that, So I think when we use when we refer to our gurus, how they do, and then remember them, then it will help you to keep up. So whenever you encounter some difficulty, I think of my own time, my gurus, their dedication, then just like refresh you like that, Okay, so we stop for lunch. Thank you.